Trump is in the UK, or as he has to be reminded not to call it, the Paddington Unbearable is in England for an official visit with the royal family. Wait till he finds out tea time has nothing to do with golf. He's going to be very upset. The royals are expected to greet the president and first lady tomorrow, but some clever Brits are already rolling out, well, I wouldn't call it a red carpet exactly, but rather a King Kong-sized photo of Trump with his butt. On the other side of humanity's coin, we have Donald Trump Jr., who was in court again this morning. There he is. You hear the protesters chanting, crime family, and that is basically what these people are, a crime family, a very dumb crime family, the Gambozos, if you will. And
the funniest part of all this starts with Donald Trump Jr. He has spent his whole adult life trying to act exactly like his dad. But no matter how hard he tries, he always ends up looking like the cheap, fake version, like something you'd find on the clearance shelf at a dollar store. And then there's Donald Trump himself, who was president at the time, walking around like a giant statue built to celebrate his own ego. Jimmy Kimmel doesn't even need to make up jokes. He just points to the circus and says, "Look at the clowns."
I did hear from one very special friend. Moments after we taped our show last night, the Mad Red Hatter wrote, "I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back." You can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back. Being held responsible for making safety last, but fortunately for him, he's got an ardent defender in one Donald J. Jr.
He couldn't. I just saw him earlier. Taking some personal time because 19 days isn't enough time. Plus the time he spent chef feeding while we were in the supply chain crisis. 350 million Americans were depending on him to do his damn.
Jimmy Kimmel begins by making fun of Don Jr.'s obsession with social media. Don Jr. posts videos that look like they were filmed on an old calculator. He tries to sound tough, but he just ends up talking too fast and too much, like someone who drank way too much coffee. Kimmel finds this hilarious because it shows how badly Don Jr. wants attention. He's like that kid in class who keeps raising his hand to answer questions no one asked, hoping his dad will finally notice him. The funny part is, the more Don Jr. tries, the more he looks like a cheap, low-battery version of his father.
Don Jr., he's so embarrassing. He's on the stand, he's testifying in this $250 million fraud trial, and he has to compliment. He said his father is an artist with real estate. Yeah, he's an artist. He's Vincent Van Gogh to jail with real estate. He also posted that his dad is the father of hotel gyms. He said maybe someone put a gym in a building somewhere, but no one did it at the...
Kimmel then moves to Trump himself, the dad who treats being president like a personal drama show. He acts like the White House is his stage. Kimmel's jokes hit harder here because, while Don Jr. is just embarrassing, Trump is a real disaster. He runs the country like a man trying to kill a fly with a giant wrecking ball, destroying everything, and then bragging about how great it looks on TV. His presidency plays out like a bad reality show. Kimmel doesn't even need to exaggerate. Trump's obsession with himself is already the punchline.
On, just tell him I'm leaving you and I'm taking our child. He would be stunned. We have a child? Now, I know I'm probably dreaming and Melania isn't going to do any of this, but what if she had someone to do it with?
Kimmel finds the perfect comedy zone in the father-son relationship. Don Jr. wants to be just like Trump, but he ends up looking like Trump-lite, a shaky copy. His speeches sound like a karaoke singer who forgot the lyrics, but refuses to leave the stage. Meanwhile, Trump treats Don Jr. not like a son, but like an unpaid intern, useful only when repeating his applause lines. Their family drama plays out live, and Kimmel doesn't even need a laugh track. It's naturally funny.
Sign, which, by the way, really put Kinko's to the test, is especially timely because this trip he's taking was planned by the UK ambassador to Washington, a guy named Peter Mandelson, who was fired last week when they found out he wrote one of the letters in the Jeffrey Epstein birthday book, which means Pete will not be there for the visit he planned, which is too bad. He and Trump would have had a lot of gross things to talk about, I'm sure.
Don Jr.'s stage appearances are a comedy show by themselves. He walks around red-faced and sweaty, like a used car salesman trying to sell a broken car. He copies his dad's hand movements, fake confidence, and dramatic pauses. But instead of looking powerful, he just looks desperate, like someone pretending too hard. Kimmel mocks this because it's both funny and sad. A grown man acting like his dad while the world laughs.
The amount of ass kissing in this trial is insane. DJ TJ, of course, denies any and all wrongdoing and is instead going with the "our accountants did it" defense.
I'm not supposed to rely on a big five accounting firm, like one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. I can pay them millions of dollars. I rely on them to do accounting, but I'm supposed to know more than them. By this logic, insurance companies are going to start suing patients for listening to their doctors. Right? Do you understand? Like, am I supposed to know more? Oh, Don Jr. doesn't know anything about it. I'm not an accountant. I'm a business guy.
I'm a business guy who had his elbows soldered together.
Trump also gets roasted for turning every big crisis into an ad for himself. If a disaster happens, instead of showing kindness, he brags about how many people thanked him. If a scandal happens, he complains about how unfair it is to him. Kimmel jokes that Trump's presidency was like one never-ending pity party, where the star only talks about himself. He wasn't leading. He was putting on a sideshow. He imagined himself as a strong political figure, but he looked more like the opening act no one came to see.
Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage? Who puts the network in jeopardy? You hear that? There's the threat again. This time straight from FCC Biscuit's mouth. He goes, he says, I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A true bunch of losers. Only Donald Trump would try to prove he wasn't threatening ABC by threatening.
Kimmel makes fun of how Don Jr. always tries to act tough. He yells, points fingers, and mocks others, but it looks fake, like a kid practicing in front of the mirror. Kimmel jokes, when your biggest achievement is your last name, the tougher you pretend to be, the sillier you look. Don Jr. isn't a fighter. He's more like a mascot. Trump also gets roasted for running the White House like it's a family business. He fills top positions with relatives, turning the government into a family reunion where qualifications don't matter. Don Jr. looks like the prince waiting for a throne he'll never get. Kimmel calls it dynasty cosplay, and the whole thing is so obvious that it becomes pure comedy.
But there is no accountability. There's not even an expectation of these guys doing their job.
And what's your job exactly? I mean, seriously, besides yelling at your laptop, what is it that you do for a living? What do you write on your tax return, son? Donald Trump Jr. is the only guy in America who claims himself as a dependent. Fox News, Bob.
Kimmel digs into Don Jr.'s books and media tours. Don Jr. tries to act smart and serious, but Kimmel jokes that this is funny because Don Jr. can barely speak clearly. His books aren't real literature. They're more like ghost-written rants glued together for bulk sales. Trump's business record is also a goldmine for jokes. Kimmel reminds people of the bankruptcies, lawsuits, and shady deals. While Trump sells himself as a business genius, the truth tells a different story. Don Jr. tries to copy this success story, but what they really pass down is failure wrapped in branding. Don Jr. is always trying to get his father's approval. Every speech and post feels like an audition tape to get dad's attention. Kimmel highlights how Don Jr.'s biggest fear isn't losing elections. It's becoming irrelevant. He's stuck defending his dad in every sentence, hoping the spotlight stays on him.
And with all the complaining the Trumps do about this trial playing out in the media, you could barely even turn the channel without seeing their lawyer doing an interview with somebody.
What have they been asking the kids, and tell me how they fit into all of this?
They don't fit into all of this. What have they been asking the kids? It's very simple. They'll ask the kids, did you give a value to somebody? Did you do something? And everybody said resoundingly no. And these kids did nothing wrong. They should not be in this case. Ivanka's already out of the case. Boys should not be in the case.
That's right. They're just boys. They're kids. Eric has a book report.
Trump is roasted for treating politics like his family business. Kimmel points out how almost every policy seems to benefit Trump's brand, not the people. It's corruption pretending to be capitalism. Don Jr. tries to be charming, but his jokes and insults always fall flat, like a comedian bombing on stage. Trump's rallies also get mocked. They look less like political events and more like therapy sessions for a man addicted to applause. He repeats himself, rants, and loses focus, while his fans cheer like they're at an old rock concert. Kimmel says real leaders inspire confidence, but Trump mostly inspired late-night comedy.
This morning, Trump warmed up for his date with the British press by yelling at a reporter from Australia who dared to ask about the billions of dollars he's been raking in since the election.
President Trump that a president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation Four Corners program.
You're hurting Australia, right? In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. You want to get along with me. You know, your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You said a very bad tone.
Well,
John.
What a little tattletale.
Kimmel then goes after Don Jr.'s habit of repeating his dad's grudges. He attacks the same people over and over, like a broken record. Kimmel jokes that Don Jr. is like a bad cover band playing his father's greatest hits. On the world stage, Trump gets roasted for his strange friendships with authoritarian leaders. He praises strongmen while pushing away allies. Kimmel mocks how Trump just wants applause, even from dictators, and acts like a kid on the playground. It's not real politics, it's childish behavior, and the jokes write themselves.
Responsible for the other sniveling MAGA turd who has a weird twist on our president's name is Don Jr.
Joe Biden. 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 Joe Biden has dementia.
He's the one with the dementia.
Trump's weak environmental record becomes another punchline. Kimmel mocks how Trump removes protections like someone trying to grab every last dollar before the lights go out. Don Jr. cheers it on, calling it strong, but it's really just reckless. Their interviews are also comedy gold. Don Jr. speaks too fast and too loud, trying to cover up that he has nothing real to say. Kimmel compares it to someone frantically typing nonsense on a broken keyboard. Trump's legacy gets the final joke. He'll be remembered not as a great leader, but as a punchline. Don Jr. will be remembered as the sidekick who tried to fill his father's shoes but tripped. Together, they're not a powerful dynasty. They're an unintentional comedy duo.
He needs to make a decision. You want to be a dictator or just a dick? Because you can't. He also spent some time bragging about his $200 million ballroom again. He said it's going to be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. Oh, how exhilarating for all of us. He's so excited for these balls, he can taste them. Trump claims he's going to pay for some of the costs of the ballroom as a gift to us, which, thank you very much. We'll never be in it, but thank you very much. And he's already figured out where to get the money. Trump today became the first president to sue the New York Times. He's suing the New York Times for...
The mess they leave behind isn't a story of leadership. It's more like a blooper reel for late-night TV. Trump stumbling through crises and Don Jr. copying him badly isn't a serious chapter in history. It's a funny warning about how ego can ruin everything. Every time they try to look important, it falls apart. Instead of being remembered for greatness, they're remembered for chaos and awkward moments. Kimmel sums it up perfectly. The Trumps wanted monuments, but they got mockery carved into pop culture. Their story isn't about triumph. It's about how history itself laughed at them.